Are you a Valorant noob? Do you need that competitive edge to finally promote to that next rank? Well, Noob Tactics have got you covered. We'll be taking you through the most comprehensive and essential tactics to up your Valorant gameplay and score your way to the top of the leaderboards. I've been playing Valorant since its early access. I had to wait for days on Twitch to see if I'd score a key, and when I finally hit the virtual jackpot, I was ready to jump into the action. My big dilemma was, I was no pro. Actually, I was far from it. After months of almost daily gameplay and plenty of rage quits in between, I have finally gotten, well, semi-okay at the game. So, why am I writing this guide? Trust me, you probably shouldn't listen to what I have to say about going pro, because at only a silver rank, I have my own training to do. But that doesn't mean you should stop listening, because I was able to score a one-on-one coaching session with an Immortal player. This guy will help you just as it helped me to get to that next rank and start dominating the competition. Together, Yamikan and I have compiled a list of the most essential tips for Valorant success and tactics that aren't always seen on your mainstream guides. We want you to get good and learn a thing or two about a game that is taking the competitive world by storm. It's time to stop being a noob and learn from one of the best. Tip 1. Stop moving when you shoot. For real. Okay, so I know I said I wouldn't put a tactic that is overly talked about, but there is a reason this one is here. Not only is this still happening in most low-ranked games, but you probably don't even realize it either. If you think your opponent is aim hacking because they scored a quick headshot, I can almost promise you it's because they used this simple trick. I don't know who has to hear this, but Valorant isn't Call of Duty, and it's certainly not Halo. This tactical shooter requires strategy, not only when moving around the map, but also when you come into contact with your enemy. A quick spray will only yield a pointless body shot if you're lucky, and the rest of your bullets will fly in every direction. That's every direction besides your opponent. You need to stop when you shoot, and not after you start either. If you're using a gun like the Vandal, stopping after your first bullet is pointless, and other guns will have already reached maximum spray and recoil so that your bullets will be tracing your opponent, rather than hitting them. Yamikan says that you should practice counter-strafing as often as possible. That means putting a few minutes in the training center every now and again, working on stopping yourself before shooting. Counter-strafing sounds way more difficult than it actually is. In reality, all you have to do is counter whichever direction you're running in to get your character to stop quicker and easier than simply releasing your button. For example, if you're running forward with the W key, to counter-strafe, you need to quickly press the S key while releasing the W key. This kind of practice will not only get your character to stop moving forward faster, but it gets you to remember how imperative it is to stop moving before you start shooting. You'll see insta-dinks in no time. Tip 2. Know every agent, but master one. Let me be clear here. When I say master one, I mean one type. This means if you're an aggressive player and love Phoenix, don't go mixing your games by cycling through Cypher or Sage. If you like duelists, stick with duelists. If you like Sentinels, stick with Killjoy and Cypher. Yamikan sees way too many people wasting their precious practice time on getting as good as possible with as many agent types as they can, but unfortunately, no one has that kind of time. He also says this kind of strategy, while sometimes necessary, will end up allowing some habits to bleed into every different character you play. This will lead to you pushing too far with Brimstone or holding back and watching flank with Jet. You don't want to play characters wrong, because that means you are taking that agent's utility away from the battlefield. So find a character you like, play that one, and if someone locks it in before you get a chance, try a different character within that same genre. You'll be surprised how quickly your mastery will improve. Okay, so you've picked your mains. For me, that's Sova and Breach. For Yamikan, he's anybody he can rack 100 kills a game with, so probably everyone. Anyway, having your mains doesn't mean you don't learn every other agent you can. This means putting time in training, or just simply observing during games all the mechanics of every agent. This is important because you need to know how any agent would react in the situations that come in your games. You need to know that Killjoy will never push in during bomb defuse because she most likely has traps placed all over the spike. This means shooting the ground by spike if she's still alive, or having your teammates push her while you defuse. Knowing every ability from every agent gives you a leg up on the competition and will result in better strategy. Valorant shows you who is alive and who is dead, so it's important to keep track over your enemy's lineup to ensure that you can successfully counter anything they throw at you. As Yamikan told me a lot during coaching, anyone can get good at shooting. but a true master of Valorant needs to control the map with their abilities. Knowing this, you cannot let your opponent's Raze push you with her rocket or their Cypher reveal your flank. Tip 3. Mix up your playstyle. While I was lucky enough to have Yamikan coach me in Valorant, we had some games where my noob opponents would act the same way round after round. This may not seem bad, but when I was successfully tracking down their Omen because he would always try flanking the team, you know you have to stop what you're doing and switch it up. Using the same strategies will get you killed. Having one less player almost every round puts your team at a severe disadvantage. Plus, it removes any opportunity of tricking your opponents and scoring kills with some excellent plays. Yamikan told me that experience is key for this skill. A noob may not know every strategy for each map and agent, and that's okay. He told me that it's better to just stay back and help your team with sheer numbers, rather than trying something that will ensure you're out of the round for good. Flanking is a great way to rack up unexpected kills. And yes, pushing out on defense may throw your opponent off a couple of times, but doing it every round will allow them to counter that habit. Instead, learn from others. Go on YouTube or watch some awesome players on Twitch, like Yamikan. He's a god. This will give you pro knowledge of the game and strategies that your opponent may never see coming. Don't be that Omen who always flanks, because I got him almost every time. Tip 4. Communication is key. You may think you're communicating enough, but I promise you, you aren't. This tactic is not as simple as it looks. Yamikan told me that out of every game he's played at higher tiers, like Immortal or Diamond, communication is the difference between a victory and a defeat. You may think your individual skill is good enough, but it isn't. Make callouts, communicate strategies, and actually connect with your teammates so that you can win together. Communication encompasses everything. You should be calling out the location of every enemy, even if you die, because those trades can be priceless. Explaining a potential strategy to your team may also mean they jump on board, or at the very least, change their tactics accordingly. This will be the difference between a round in the bag or a round for the other team. Oh, and lastly, communication is more than just game talk. This also means communicating well. Don't go trash talking your teammates out of rage or blaming them for rounds lost. This will only aggravate them and allow the enemy team to steamroll wins. You are a team. You win together and you lose together. This means that you should respect your fellow gamers and try to outwit and outplay your enemy together. Even if you take the morality out of it, this strategy will most likely keep your team calm under pressure, which can translate into easy dubs. Tip 5. Econ, econ, econ. You may be surprised, but Valorant is actually more complex than just aiming and shooting. A lot goes into the game, even before the rounds start. Economy is one of the most important aspects of securing game victories, even if it means sacrificing a round or two along the way. Economy also happens to be the thing that noobs get wrong a lot. Most people do not know what to buy first round, or second, and it's so subtle that this strategy must change depending on if your team won or lost. Economy is so subtle that even one misspent round could lead to your opponents steamrolling you into the ground and the game ending in a swift 13-0. So, what are some key economy tips from the streamer himself? Number 1. Don't buy every round. If you can't full buy, which means buying an assault rifle, you should probably save. Make sure you have enough at the minimum to be able to full buy with your entire team in subsequent rounds. Communicate with your team and make sure no one is just constantly overbuying when everyone else is saving. Number 2. A sacrificed round isn't a loss. Sometimes you need to save or light buy, leaving enough minimum balance next round to purchase full shields and an AR. You can check your minimum balance for the next round if you press B and look under your name. This tactic might mean your team gets overrun by better guns one round, but this will give you the opportunity to be on the same buying level as your opponents in the next round, leaving it to skill rather than guns. Always buying an Ares or Bulldog will not be a good habit once you hit higher ranks. Number 3. Not everyone has to buy the same. Yamikan suggests that if you win round 1 and some people have enough to buy, it may be important for them to do so, while a few members of your team should only light buy. The top fraggers with enough cash should purchase those heavier weapons and help the team dominate the second round. This tactic is not used nearly enough, but Yamikan says it puts you in a great place going into round 3 and 4. Okay, you may not be a pro yet, but you'll get there. By not only listening to these tactics, but applying them to your games, you will see an instant improvement to gameplay and your rank. There's no doubt that practice makes perfect, and we know you may not have time for the kind of practice Yamikon does, but following these simple tricks will at the very least improve your skill and raise you to that next level. I'll see you on the battlefield, Agent.